I'm sitting in my chair late at night, watching crime unfold under the pale moonlight. From the darkest corner, stories unfold. True crime jewels, she's brash and she is bold. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep into the mysteries that never sleep. From missing kids in Tennessee to angry husbands named buried. True crime's calling, and we're taking the time. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. This True Crime Jewels got what you need. From missing people to twisted minds, we're unraveling secrets old Barry tried to hide. Every clue, every twist and turn. In the world of crime, there's always more to learn. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep into the mysteries that never sleep. From Christopher's anger to Stephen Fisher's lies. The truth is calling, and justice won't be denied. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. True Crime Jewels on the YouTube streets. Lights are low, suspense is high. We're chasing truth, we spot every lie. Step into the darkness, hold on tight. Two flashlights out there in the dead of night. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep. Barry Morphew's case is hot. A boy in Tennessee won't be left behind. From the coldest cases to the ones that shine, true crime's calling, and we're taking the time. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. This True Crime Jewels got what you need. We're always watching Barry and waiting for the truth. In the world of crime, we discuss the proof. So hit that play and join the True Crime journey with Jewels of Thought and her gemstone family.
All right, everybody. How are you? I hope you're all doing well. If you can hear me, would you please put a 1 or just type in anything? Just something to let me know that you are, in fact, able to hear me before I get started on the Lori show. Yep, they had a hearing today to address the upcoming trial. And I had made a video sometime last week talking about my frustration that she has so little disregard for her son, Colby Ryan, and his family, and Cresha, and Kay and Larry, and their family, and even Tammy Daybell's family. This notion that she will serve as her own attorney, defense attorney, it is remarkably, she is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, Zelda. Thank you for that. This notion that she would engage in this farce, it's really demonstrating just, in fact, how low her empathy is for others. This nightmare that she has created, with little disregard for the real surviving victims, which is Colby, his family, Larry and Kay, their family, and Tammy Daybell's family. She should have enough. Look, the truth is that the outcome of this trial does not change her life at all. She has been found guilty, period. And so she will, in fact, spend the rest of her life behind bars. And this is like I could be wrong. These are my own personal impressions, but I feel like this is an act of vengeance on her part. That this is a way to try to hurt those people that, got her in trouble, according to her point of view. So her module has landed and touched down. We're unsure about the actual location of her brain, somewhere west of Jupiter, I think. And so, she's about to do this incredibly disrespectful, hurtful, um, terrible act, which is to play more mind games with people that loved the kids and loved Charles and loved Tammy. She is about to put on a show. And in the previous video that I had done, I had talked about narcissistic personality disorder, histrionic borderline personality disorder, and the connections between these severe personality disorders and criminal behavior. How the buildup happens, the catalyst, how the personality disorder can become the fuel for the explosion, or the criminal activity being the explosion. And so I wanted to go a little bit more into that today, and then we're going to watch the hearing that they had today, because it's the Lori show, don't you know? And so I talked previously about the interface between this uh, focused, grandiose belief that one is special, that the rules do not apply to Lori, coupled with absolutely low empathy, zero sense of responsibility for the facts of what actually happened. Her complete and total willingness to tell a lie to anyone because she deserves to be able to lie, because she's special. And the people that believe that they can set limits for her, they are just short-sighted and don't appreciate how special she truly is. And so, all the combination of grandiose sense of self and the low empathy, and you end up with this nightmare that Colby had to survive, and that Larry and Kay and Crusha had to survive. And rather than leaving well enough alone and settling into her new nest, which she could have done, she chooses now to have one more opportunity at the limelight, and it's going to be bad. It's going to be real bad. She is not equipped. When I say she is not equipped, I mean she lacks any level of coping skill that will allow her to tolerate the frustration of the courtroom. In fact, the frustrations, the limitations that she's going to experience in the courtroom because she is serving as her defense attorney, that is going to fire up those personality disorders in a way that is going to be shocking to witness. I honestly cannot believe, given her history, I can't believe that the judge allowed this to play out. How long did they wait? Her being hospitalized, medicated. How long did they wait? Through Mark means, how long? In no way is there any indication that this woman has any level of stability to justify allowing this to happen. And, the legal remedies would look a bit different, but none of those legal remedies that would have been available in Arizona would have in any way done away with the convictions that exist in the murders of Tylee, JJ, and Tammy. So it is, you guys just get ready. It's going to be about as bad as you can get. And we got a little taste of it today. So, you figure a narcissist, their views, well, how should I say this? Narcissists have a way of prioritizing things in curious ways. the things a narcissist would believe is like really important, you and I would think is laughable, and vice versa. The things that a narcissist would dismiss, you and I would look at one another in total disbelief and go, "What is happening here? This is crazy." And so that makes for a circus like atmosphere. It's chaos, right? Like if somebody walked up to you and they said, "You know, you're taller than me, but I think I can still reach up and slap you across your face." Okay, now if I ask you, put a 1 if you would be offended or angry, put a 2 if you would be thrilled that someone called you tall. Because the narcissist is going, they're going to ruffle their feathers like a peacock and go, "Oh my goodness, they called me tall and statuesque, a, a beauty." And everybody else in the room's going, "Wait a minute, I don't think they were giving you a compliment. I think they were judging, how high do I have to reach for my hand to connect to her face or his face?" But that is the view, the curious, illogical view that you do get with narcissists. And because they prioritize things in a curious way, in whatever way that it can build up their self-esteem or reflect well on them, and it leaves the rest of us feeling like either this person is completely out of touch with reality, or they're just an asshole. And Lori was an asshole today in the hearing. So another example of narcissist versus just a regular healthy person. Maybe they, how do I say this? The narcissist decides they want to be the best friend you ever had, and they're willing to spend 3 or 4 days going through every store in the mall to find you the perfect present. They want to be known as the best friend that you ever had. And so they find the perfect present for you, and it is $1,000. And they don't care. There is no price too large to interfere with this noble exercise of being the best friend you ever had, right? So they find the present, they pay the $1,000, and they go home feeling very, very good about themselves. Like they're feeling great. All right. Why would they do that? Because they wanted to. They somehow got it in their mind that they had to be the very, very, very best friend of all time ever that you ever had. And there's no limits to making that happen. Now then, you're looking at this $1,000 gift and you're going, "Okay, this is a little weird, a little creepy. I don't really know how to turn it down, but something in me tells me I should, that this is dramatically expensive and inappropriate for me to accept." And then later on in the afternoon, while you're still pondering how to gently tell the narcissist friend that the gift is very kind and thoughtful, but it is completely inappropriate and you can't possibly keep it, you think, "Oh no, I've got this terrible problem with an important project that you guys are working on at work, and you've got way too many responsibilities on your plate, and you realize, if my friend would just take this project, make the changes. It'll take 30 minutes tops. And if she could take the project and make those changes, be finished in 20 or 30 minutes, no more than 30 minutes, that would completely change the trajectory of my week. That would be one of the biggest helps that anyone has ever given to me, was just 20 to 30 minutes to help me on this little project, right? So the person that the narcissist was just spending money and 3 days searching for the perfect gift because they had to be the best friend in the whole wide world. When you go and request, you say, I am struggling. I have got a big problem with all the responsibilities. I need you to help me anytime this week is fine, whenever you can get to it. Just make this handful of changes. Shouldn't take any more than about 20 minutes, and it completely changes things for me, and I'll be able to breathe. If you would please help me. And that very, 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 very best friend in the whole wide world will say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. I'm not your slave. I don't want to do that. I don't want you're treating me like I'm your slave. And you're going, whoa, no, I'm not treating you like your slave. I don't even envision you being my slave, but you just bought me a gift for $1,000 when really I would rather you take your gift back and keep your money for yourself, because, money's hard to come by. But it would make you my best friend if you would help me with these few changes. And that would be sufficient to forever end that friendship. She'll take back her $1,000 gift and she'll badmouth you to kingdom come because you asked for support. Now, in reality, being a healthy, normal person, what do you think is more important or more appropriate? For somebody to buy you $1,000 gift, a coworker to buy you $1,000 gift, or for you to reach out and help a work friend by making a few changes on a project? Which one is actually the better choice, right? Hey, Alice Morton, it's so good to see you. Yeah, it's wonderful you're here. Thank you. So we would all say the same thing. Definitely the $1,000 gift is just inappropriate for a work friend. And definitely that would be the mark of a really, really good work friend if they would say, of course, I will help you make these changes. No problem. Absolutely. Correct? So this is what I mean by narcissists having a way of setting up priorities in a way that you and I just can't fathom. Like, we just can't get there. We're going to see that on display today in this hearing that they had. But mainly the reason I decided to go ahead and do this is it's giving us a window into what is about to unfold in this case. It is going to be the Lori show. She has nothing to lose. She understands this is her last hoorah. Now, she will have another trial after this one. It is for the attempted murder. I believe the charges are attempted murder for Brandon Boudreaux. Excuse me, I can't talk. I think, what were the charges? I've got that in my notes. Oh, maybe. Yeah. Attempted murder, conspiracy for murder in both Charles Vallow, and then they'll have another trial for the murder of Boudreaux, for the attempted murder of Boudreaux, but it's still a conspiracy charge. So, okay, the trial is set to begin when, y'all? Who knows? Yes, March 31st. Is it apropos that April Fool's Day is in there. I love it. So, you guys that have listened to me talk about the Chadster and Queen of the Damned, you know that I often use humor to kind of take the power away from these very violent and frightening people. Um, and so April Fool's Day should be an interesting and fun day. It'll give us opportunity for some fun memes about Lori. Though I have to please understand I am not in any way diminishing or belittling the things that this family um, had to experience. This was it. It doesn't get worse than this case. In my opinion, this was it defies logic. And if Lori wasn't so badly controlled by her personality disorders, she would choose to just sit quietly by until this was all over with the realization that she has 3 convictions that will never be removed. Never. They're never. It's over for her. That if she wasn't dealing with this monumental collection of personality disorders, um, she would just quietly sit by and let this whole thing pass by as quickly as possible, um, and then go back to Idaho and live out the rest of her days there, where she will ultimately, end up living out her days. But she can't do that because she's a narcissist and because she's, devilishly frightening, in my opinion. Um, Again, before we start this, I was shocked that Maricopa County Judge Justin Beresky approved her being her own attorney. That December the 6th, my jaw hit the ground. And that came on the heels of her being evaluated by 2 um, Arizona doctors that said she's competent to stand trial. And that was all it needed for her to be allowed to be the lead on her case. She does have 2 advisory counsel, and today, when we watch this hearing, she has 1 advisory counsel and then her investigator. The investigator became officially active March the 7th, though I think they requested this. This investigator in maybe January, or maybe it was December. It was only recently approved, and so Lori's kind of bitchy about that. But this judge, I'm sorry, Judge Beresky, you could have picked up the phone and called me and said, "Hey, Dr. Jules, I'm thinking about letting Lori Vallow represent herself in her Arizona trials. What do you think of that?" I would say that no matter what you have to do, moving heaven and earth, don't let that woman represent herself in a court of law, because you're going to have a nightmare on your hands. And so here we go. That's all I can say. It's happening. All right. So let me get this. I hope everybody is doing well. Thank y'all for being here. I sure appreciate it. Yes, you know what, Kathy? So we all decided the other day that that Lori's face has already started the journey down to her forever home. So her face is going to get to hell before the rest of her body does. And that's just fine with me and Kresha. We're okay with that. So, Kathy, Lori claims she's going back to her youth because she is the Lord's favorite. I will tell you that listen, Tam and everybody, Kresha is having bumper stickers and T-shirts and caps made that say, "I'm Jesus's favorite." So we'll do that in honor of Keith Morrison and the unbelievable interview that he tried to do, and he couldn't really do it because Lori was she's eat up with personality disorder. So they did, I think, change the format of the show. You know, it was supposed to be the interview. There was an awful lot of him talking and other people. And I think they just couldn't get much usable content out of what she said. She's combative. She's angry. She's a smart aleck. Yeah, she's a liar. If you guys haven't heard, I feel almost like we need a trigger warning because it's just such an abomination. She has told Colby and will also say the same thing in the court, in this trial, that Tylee is responsible for the death of JJ. And then she ended her own life. And she told Colby that. So the point though is, you know, that's devastating for him, but he doesn't believe it. He knows that it's not true. Everyone knows it's not true because the forensics were so good in identifying when the kids were last seen and then seeing Alex and Chad together on that land. When they saw where they were buried, they could get it using the geofencing warrants. They could tell the days that they were buried. So it was a week apart. There was simply no way that they died on the same day. So Lori is a big old fat liar. As I said, her face is heading to hell before the rest of her gets there. And so please, 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 prayers for Colby Ryan and his family and what they're about to have to experience, because this woman is a complete narcissist. And prayers for Kresha and Lori, Kay and Larry. And prayers also for Tammy Daybell's family. This is going to be hard on them too, though I don't think, I think this is going to be very difficult for Colby. So it's going to be rough for sure. All right, Mr. E, welcome. Good to see you guys. And you ladies, if you are there watching with Mr. E, hello to you as well. It's good to have y'all here. Thank you. Hey, Be Real. Good to see you. All right, so let's get started then. I need to take this. Oh, not that one. Wrong one. What happened? Here we go. I got it. All right, everybody.
Which is pretrial publicity or opinions people may have had or exposure to the case people may have had. And then it has the questions where we may lose additional jurors on the trial schedule, and then victims of crime, views about police officer, and then if they've been charged or close family members have been charged with a criminal offense, and to explain that. Any comments from the state?
Judge, in terms of publicity, I think my concern would be that when the jurors come in here and start hearing about the case or hearing testimony about the case, they'll hear the names Tylee and JJ, which obviously were more, there was more publicity about those than about Charles Vallow. And so I think if we really want to ensure that the jury is unbiased and has had no pretrial publicity with regards to the defendant, we're going to have to question them as to their knowledge of her other convictions out of Idaho. That was something that was just incredibly all over the media.
I agree, but I think that may happen in individual voir dire. This initial questionnaire, if they recognize the name Vallow or Daybell and they've been exposed to something in the media about it, they should tell us about what they know about it and about whether they know about that other case and whether they know about anything that happened to it, about it. So I anticipate losing a number of jurors just based on that. But I agree with you. Some may say they've been exposed to it, but it wouldn't affect their ability to be fair. And in individual voir dire, we can explore those options. I don't want to necessarily taint the whole pool by saying, hey, she's got these convictions in this other state.
And can you imagine, let's think about this for a minute. The whole world knew about JJ and Tylee because they were looking for these children, right? They were looking all over the world. They were looking for these kids. Arizona has got a very active Mormon population. They've all heard about this. Would-be voters, which is going to be your jury pool, they know all of these issues that happen. So the idea that they could find someone to be on the jury that knows nothing, never heard of it, that's not realistic. You would have to be living on a boat in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean not to have heard about this case. So the question will be not necessarily did you hear about it, but do you think you can stay impartial and hear all the evidence before making your decision? How many hours a day did you follow the case? Did you watch the trials that were in Idaho? Those would be the kinds of questions because they've all heard about it, in my opinion.
Your Honor, I don't propose we talk about the convictions, but we will hear the names JJ and Tylee in this trial. So that's my concern is if we don't raise those names, whether or not we put them in the list as people that they may hear.
What I could do is on question 15, where it lists out my name, the court staff, I need to include your name, the attorney's names, the advisory council's names in there. I'll add those. But at the bottom where it says other potential witnesses, I could do a third or another category that says other people that may be referenced but are not going to testify unless those names. That's fine. Is there any in addition to those two?
That would be the only for that. I think the other issue is
Alex
of course, the
Cox.
defendant's supplemental 15.2 names.
When was that filed? I haven't seen it.
I filed actually 2 motions to preclude them all.
Jason Mao.
Sunday.
Right, Jason?
Okay, maybe that's in my folder. That's on my desk.
The big
before
boom
we-
boom.
Filed that on the 12th of March.
Gird
before
your
we get
loins,
to that-
Jason.
Let me ask the defendant. Other comments on the proposed questionnaire and the information that we're going to put in there?
Excuse me, Judge. I have a comment. Please. Can we arrest Jason Mao?
I think it's
What's that?
pretty clear.
Okay, do you have any objection to listing Tylee and JJ because they will be mentioned?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's take a look here. Let me ask the state.
Lori, get that little.
You have
Every time she looks at that investigator or that attorney and gives that little smirk and flips her foot around. Oh my goodness. Oh,
21 witnesses listed. I need to look at the defense witnesses that were listed. And we're after jury selection. I recognize jury selection could take longer than the initial week that I've set forth, but
Oh, you
from April
think,
7th
Judge?
to May 15th, the current screening, that is 20 full days of trial
21
and
days.
2 half days, so essentially 21 days of trial. Do you really think we need to screen that far out? I know you're being overly cautious.
You should be. If Lori's involved, you should be
especially
overly cautious,
given that
Judge.
I'm not positive we'll pick a jury in that first week. I think we should, Your Honor.
I think you're right, prosecutor.
Defense have any comment on how we're screened through May 15th?
I think it's plenty of time, Your Honor, myself.
That is a great one.
All right, let's deal with a couple things. First, I've received the notice of compliance. That was when the defendant requested the Gilbert
Mr. E, you guys have got to make t-shirts with that on it. That is absolutely hilarious.
Video, does that apply to the second case or this case?
Your Honor, it's an incident that occurred in January. It's not really, it was disclosed because it is mentioned in the DR. The defense had filed a motion for the state to disclose that, and then had brought up again on the 11th that the state had not disclosed it, that there was some YouTube video of that. I have looked for said YouTube video. I have gone through the police report. I don't know what video she's discussing, but we're not aware of any video that hasn't been disclosed. So I'm just providing notice that disclosure is complete as to that police report that is peripherally relevant.
All right. Any comment on that?
Yes, Your Honor. For clarity, is the state proposing that there is no video or that they don't have to give it to me because it's not attached to that DR number?
I think what she said was she's not aware of what video you referenced. So as far as her knowledge, she doesn't have it and doesn't know about it.
So I should go directly to Gilbert Police Department to get it?
Well, last time you were in court, you said your investigator or someone told you about it,
A mitigator
a mitigator.
showed it to me.
If they have that link, why don't they just send it to the state, and that may help
Good
the state
question,
determine
Judge.
if that's something they've already
I'll tell
disclosed.
you, I will tell you why they won't, because that is my former team and they will not do anything to help my investigator, my paralegal. They won't give us any information that they found.
Oh my goodness. This woman with 3 murder convictions who has engaged in the most horrific of behaviors. I'm not even going to say them because those words should not even be spoken out of anyone's mouth, much less done. And she's literally whining like she's 15 years old. But why can I go? Everybody's going. It's not fair. Elizabeth gets to go, and Jamie gets to go, and Mary gets to go, and Debbie's get to go, and I want to go too. Why aren't you letting me go? The whining as if she were a teenage girl. This woman is stuck in her mind as a teenager. She has not aged, not one day over the age of 15.
I will tell you why they won't, because that is my former team and they will not do anything to help my investigator, my paralegal. They won't give us any information that they found. They won't talk to us at all because apparently there was a conflict. So they will not help us. They will not send us anything. They will not email us anything. They will not answer anything that we ask them to. So that has been the response from my former defense team. That's where we are.
All right. Do you know, and maybe your advisory councils can speak to this, did they turn over a file to you or did you have to start from scratch?
No.
No.
From what I understand, all they turned over was the 22 terabyte
This
hard
is
drive,
the
and that
fourth
is it.
trial.
They turned no-
They have
any
all the
notes,
discovery
any
they're
work
ever going to
product,
have.
nothing that they had done to that point.
Crazy. Well, she has an investigator
Continue to stand by that
and a
today,
helper
even though a lot of that information I gave to them,
because
they
she's
would not give it back to me.
got to be able to conduct an investigation. No care, zero care. She is special right
I'm
now.
going to make
She's
an
the
order and
lead defense
it'll be in the
attorney.
minute entry that
She
they
is special, and the fact that
turn
her
over
children are
a
dead
copy of
is
their entire file,
secondary.
including any mitigation information that was gathered to the advisory council. That makes Hicks look like you want to say something.
She does. Look how pleased she is. Ugh, I don't know how Colby and the rest of his family watch this nonsense. I can barely stand it. And look at this prosecutor. She feels exactly like we do. She's sitting there going, I can't believe that I have to do this with this monster. I get you, girl. I know what you're thinking because I'm thinking it too, but you got this. Just sweep the floor with this crazy heifer.
All right, so I'll do a more detailed order about, they should have turned over a copy of their entire file to advisory council when they withdrew.
Right, Tam? She is aggressive, April. That, by the way, hi, April. Good to see you again. Yeah, she's so aggressive in this. It's what I said. Y'all get ready. This is going to be the Lori show. She is going to make damn sure of it. I love that emoji, Kelly. Yeah, it's great to see you, April. It's hard to believe we're back here again, isn't it? We're right back where we started. Oh, Kelly, this poor prosecutor. Yeah, I know how she feels. I feel like somebody ought to go over and massage her neck. You know what I mean? This is the worst. The worst. And I don't know what this judge is thinking. I would love it if we had like a psychic that could read the judge's mind. Zelda. She's going on Dancing with the Stars. There you go. She said it. She absolutely said she is going to get out of prison. And when she does, she's going on Dancing with the Stars. Absolutely. Yep. That's what she said. So humiliating. This judge right now, we think he's reading, but actually he's sitting there, he's reading about if there's any way that he could get Lori committed to an insane asylum right now, and that would stop this farce that is about to take place.
Read the defendant's disclosures that were filed March 6th and March 12th, as well as the state's motion to preclude. And well, let me start. Have you received any response from the defense, anyone from the defense team since you filed this on March 16th?
Oh, that's a good one, Kathy.
Your Honor, last night at
That's a banger.
10:30 or so, defendant's investigator sent over a list of the addresses of the witnesses. I did speak with him this morning. I still am unclear if defense will be setting up those interviews or if they will be providing phone numbers to the state to set them up ourselves. As for the expert, again, last night at like 10:30 at night, defense investigator emailed the state and indicated that the defense expert would need to or wanted to obtain the physical laptops and cell phones that the police had impounded so that he could then review them, do his own sub-right or extractions. So obviously the expert hasn't even begun work, let alone they've also requested all impounded items from law enforcement. I'm unclear if they're asking for ones that were impounded in Idaho as part of their investigation or just the ones here. The statements from the investigator appears to be all of them, which would mean the state would have to request Idaho to send those to the investigator.
It's insanity.
So again, given all of those issues,
incredible.
I don't see how that it would be possible for the state to provide that to the expert prior to this trial beginning, let alone to get a report or an opinion prior to this trial beginning.
All right, let's set aside Dworkin for the time being. So well, let me ask the investigator. What's your name, sir?
Jeff.
Jeff what?
White.
Okay, Mr. White, are you going to be setting up interviews for the state to to interview whatever potential witnesses the defendants noticed?
I'm trying to verify, excuse me, sir. I'm trying to verify the phone numbers to be correct. I do have a few of them, but some of them I'm trying to make sure that these are the correct numbers.
Okay.
I did the searches for them, and I have to apologize. I left yesterday, and for some odd reason, my
Okay. Look, maybe I'm a little shallow and stupid, but I just got a question to ask. This is the fourth trial, correct? And every single person on her witness list has been, well, every single person on her witness list is also on the prosecution's witness list, except for one. That is Nate Eaton. How hard do you think it is to get Nate Eaton's phone number? So is it really me that is shallow and dumb? Or is this investigator playing games? All he's got to do is find one phone number to Nate Eaton.
email just did not go through. So,
Your Honor, my understanding is that the state has interviewed every single person on my witness list previously. That's where I got the people from the interviews that they had from the state previously.
Right. That's what I just said. And that means you have their contact information. And Lori, everything's already happened. They've all given their statements. What? Do you think something new in the case has happened since they gave their original statements? This is a farce.
So I understand that they're allowed to do another interview of them, but they have interviews of every single person that is on my list, with the exception of one,
Which is who?
which is Nate Eaton.
Okay.
And
When you
Jay.
say the state's done the interview, do you mean police or someone from the prosecutor's office?
In discovery, I have interviews with police on every single one of the witnesses that are on my list.
Okay.
So I know that they had their addresses. I know that we were trying to get the addresses to them in the quickest way possible. And where I am at the jail, the communication is very difficult for me to get a hold of my investigator, to get a hold of my paralegal. I'm 23 hours a day locked down. If I don't have Wi-Fi, I don't have a phone.
Lori, look to your right. There's an actual licensed attorney sitting there beside you. Be quiet.
If I don't have battery, I don't have a phone. I don't have access to get to people. So I understand the time constraints, and we're doing the best that we can of getting
No,
things
you're not.
answered,
You're not.
getting things put together.
No, you're not. You're not doing the best
So
you
as
can.
a threshold question, your assertion is that all these people that you've listed in your notices have relevant information for trial.
Correct.
Absolutely,
And-
Rosebud.
Do you know if the police have interviewed these
Well,
people?
They have
No,
all
the
in
They
it.
may be
The first
referenced.
listed person is a reporter. So I'm not really sure the relevance of a reporter.
He's the only one that hasn't been.
Hey,
That's
hey,
what I said.
lady. Simmer down. Simmer down, lady. Do not yell in this courtroom and do not interrupt the prosecutor, who happens to be a real attorney, while you yourself you're just a child murderer.
So, Your Honor, the point is to start with, one, these people, I'm not sure all of them actually have been interviewed. Those that have would have been interviewed 5 years ago. So whether or not their addresses are correct, unclear. It's not the state's responsibility for the defendant to do the defendant's work and find these people. I have an absolute right to do interviews just as the defendant does. So,
Yes, you do.
in terms of the witnesses, I think that most of them, as best I can guess, would be character evidence, which would be improper under 405. So depending on what they say, then I need to file motions to
She wants them for character witnesses.
preclude or motions in limine for any or all of these witnesses.
All right, so it's premature to address these today.
Oh
States
my
may have to
goodness.
Interview them and find out if, in their opinion, they have
Okay,
relevant
watch
information or
this.
not, and then
Watch this. Wow. She is just incorrigible.
if there's a and
Watch her face.
all right, so it's premature to address these today.
Right here, right here.
The state's going to have to
You heifer.
interview them and find out if, in their opinion, they have relevant information or not. And then if there's a dispute as to whether or not they'd be called, I'll have to deal with that as it comes up.
Well-
But if they're unable to be located or interviewed, obviously they won't be called at trial. Mr. Dworkin, if you want him to do extractions, you're not ready for trial.
Yes.
So
Thank you, Judge.
in order for him to do the work that he's requesting, getting copies of a laptop or a cell phone or whatever the case may be, that's going to take him time to extract and analyze and then prepare a report, months maybe.
Yep.
I understand that, Your Honor, and I'm
Oh,
hoping
do
he
you,
can do it in an
do you, Lori?
expedited manner. I requested him from OPDS on January 14th. He got approved on March 7th.
Okay. You see this, right? You see her decompensating right here in front of our eyes. The first few hearings that they had, she was on her best behavior, right? Well, now the real Lori is about to emerge. We got a bit of her in Keith Morrison's interview. She was feeling all full of herself. Yes. Now you see her. She's interrupting the prosecutor. She's raising her voice in answer to the prosecutor. She's interrupting her own table. And now she's yelling and defensive toward the judge. This is just a hearing, y'all. I don't know how this, I hope this judge is ready. I hope he's ready.
Well,
From OPDS.
you're the one pressing for your speedy trial, so you kind of have to make a decision on, we're set for trial. You want to go to trial or you want to have him do that work that you want? Because I don't think both are going to happen. Even if you got the laptops today, generally those types of things can take weeks, even months to analyze and prepare a report on.
I understand that. And I also understand that I've only been given 10 hours for him from OPDS, right? So if he could spend 10 hours this week getting them ready, then he can give us a report with the best that he can do.
Well, the report's already late technically, but if it were allowed, first of all, it's going to take time to coordinate him getting let's start here. Specifically, what are you requesting? Because the state wasn't clear whether you were requesting items here impounded by a particular police department or items that may be impounded in Idaho.
Well, I'm sure that my investigator would like to have all of those things done, and I realize that we're on a time constraint, and I would be only concerned with one item, which is at Chandler Police Department, which was Charles, my husband's phone.
Oh, she
Charles
wants her
Allison.
husband's phone. As if her husband knew that they were going to murder him. Like, what is it? Are there text messages that, he knows that you guys are going to kill him? Like, what could possibly be in your husband's phone that would have anything to do with the fact that you murdered him?
And I would like a copy of the extraction that they took from it. The digital forensic extraction from Chandler Police could be given to him immediately. That would be very helpful.
Wasn't that already disclosed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was
Yeah,
that part of the initial
20
terabyte?
22
Yes.
terabytes.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Everything that I have is on a 22 terabyte. So if hard drive. So if I give that away, I can't do my work.
Well, can't you make a copy? And I got another question, y'all. This is petty and short-sighted to me, but that happens occasionally. Look at this, the back of this man's head. Did he just wake up to come to court? He looks like he was fast asleep and he jumped out of bed and ran to the courthouse and forgot to brush his hair. Isn't that crazy? Like, I sincerely think that he was asleep before court. Okay. Jules is finished. being petty and small-minded.
Well, can't you make copies of files out of it?
22.
Bedhead, Kathy.
I understand that.
Okay.
So what's your proposal?
I'll take it up.
I mean, if you have all that information in a file, I'm not saying you have to copy the whole 22 terabytes, but there's a file in there somewhere that's the Cellbrite extraction already for that requested item that's been in defense possession for however long now.
I'll take it up tomorrow.
So I'm happy to make an order, but again, if he's not done with that information you want, are you still wanting to proceed to trial at the end of this month?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Oh yeah, there can be. Look, Judge Boreski, it's time for you to fully understand the implications of maybe putting the trial off so that her investigator has time to do what he wants to do. If you put the trial off, that means that Lori has to wait another few months for the Lori show to begin. Judge, you got to keep up with the current events, Judge. This is the Lori Vallow show. You may not know it right now, but you will.
Do you know what's really fun? Making a website on Wix.
What?
Hey, we're how ridiculous. 3 childhood friends.
That
Well,
would
it
put
could
this-
still be precluded
That
because
was crazy.
depending on what his opinion is, first of all, it's late under the rules of evidence and rules of disclosure. And secondly, depending on what he says, the state would have to have an opportunity to consult with an expert as well. So even if he got something done, it could still be precluded, but I'll give him the
See?
opportunity to do whatever it is that you think he needs to do.
The deadlines are finished. It's over. So even if he gets this done, the judge is still going to throw it out. Her attorney and the investigator, not exactly the cream of the crop, if you know what I mean.
To analyze that, but that information's been in defense possession for months, if not over a year.
More than a year, Your Honor.
And he was just approved by
I could see her come walking into the courtroom on the first day of jury selection and just yell out, "Welcome to the Lori Vallow shit show." I mean, that would not be shocking at all.
If not over a year.
More than a year, Your Honor.
and he was just approved by OPDS last week, Your Honor.
I thought you said he was approved. You applied in January.
Lori, get your days straight, chickadee. 11 days ago, that's closer to 2 weeks than just this week. Okay.
I applied for him in January and he got last Friday.
Let me whine at the judge. Let me jump back at the judge and yell at the judge and whine like the judge is my daddy. And then maybe the judge will listen to me. Nope.
Said he was approved. You applied in January.
I applied for him in January and he got last Friday, he got approved.
Again, this is one of those things where you have to weigh your options on whether it's worth it to get a continuance so you can have your defense do the work that you want done on your defense. But if you're telling me you don't want to do that,
I would like to do that, but my situation in my housing department precludes me from doing that.
from asking,
Well, if I was, I should have a nice office with an oak desk and a big window to see out over downtown Phoenix. And that's what I would like. I'm an attorney, Judge, but you have me locked away in a jail, and I'm the attorney, and I deserve better.
for a continuance.
No, from getting things done in an effective and quick manner.
All right, well, so you're telling me you don't want a continuance because any information he has at this point could be precluded as being untimely.
Yeah, he's telling you he's not going to accept it,
I
Lori.
understand that is the rule and I understand how unfair and prejudicial.
I understand that's the rule, Judge Bresky, and the rules don't apply to me. If if you make me follow the rules, that that's unfair, and I think it's abuse, Judge.
So that would be to me.
Well, I have a question. After she whines at the judge and gets defensive and talks about how unfair it is to her that there are rules, why does she then sit back like she's so pleased with what she just said? She acts like she's like, and there, huh? What?
Included as being untimely.
I understand that is the rule, and I understand how unfair and prejudicial that would be to me.
Look at her bouncing in her chair.
So I guess
I'm sorry.
And how
Watch her.
unfair and prejudicial that would be to me.
Watch her bounce.
okay.
I told him. I put him in his place. Lori, you
So
idiot.
I guess I'm gonna have to cross the bridge on whether
God.
these notice defense witnesses are even able to be located and interviewed before I make a decision on whether they.
Yeah, so Lori, we all have a question for you, Lori. How was it fair that Charles and JJ and Tylee and Tammy, they didn't get to finish out their lives anywhere? How's that fair? You were judge, jury, and executioner with these 4 people, and maybe even Joseph Ryan. I'm of the opinion that she likely murdered Joe Ryan. But again, that's what I was talking about at the beginning of this video. With narcissists, they prioritize things in a way that make the rest of us sort of sound like Scooby-Doo. We all kind of look at each other and go, what? Like, what did she just say? Yes, you literally just heard her yell at the judge in the murder trial of her husband, who is saying to her, I don't even know why you want to try to do this without a continuance, because you're already past the deadline. If you put the report in now, I cannot accept it. But if you get a continuance, then you can have another 3 or 6 months to do whatever you need to do. I don't want to do that. I don't want rules. I don't want to have to do what other people do. I just want to be the queen of the courtroom, and I get to say everything, and you, judge, have to follow my orders, because that's the way it's always been between me and men.
Have relevant information and can be called at trial.
Obviously, Honor, we have a little over a week to try to interview these people, so
I
I will
understand.
file something at the end of next week indicating who I've been able to reach and interview, and ask to preclude everyone else.
All right.
They also obviously ask to preclude them regardless,
Right.
based upon what they may say.
Look at her looking at that attorney.
What else do we need to address today then?
Your Honor, the only other motion that we did not address last week was the state 609 motion. I presume the defendant will likely testify, so I didn't know if we wanted to address that now.
Oh, God help us. God help us.
I generally will, I guess I'll advise the defendant now that if you choose to testify, it's likely that the jury would hear about the convictions. But at your request, they could be sanitized, meaning that they would only hear about the fact that you have convictions, as opposed to what the nature of the conviction are. But that would be up to you, whether you want that information out or not. And then the jury would receive a limiting instruction that the existence of those convictions is only to be used for the purposes of determining credibility. So you should be aware of that when you make a decision on whether you want to testify or not. Oh, if you do want to testify, it will be question and answer, meaning you need to write out all your questions that you want to be asked and have one of your advisory counsels ask those questions to you when you're on the witness stand.
Right.
Okay, so you can't take the witness stand and just give a narrative, it'll be question and answer.
So am I supposed to reply to the 609? Is that what you're saying? And ask for it to be sanitized if I want that?
We can talk about that when we actually have a 609 hearing, but yeah, you can make that request orally. You don't have to do a written response. I indicated last time for your opening statement and closing argument and questioning witnesses that you'll pretty much be limited to the podium. We'll be in a different courtroom apparently for trial, but it'll be set up very similarly. Either your investigator.
Yes, I don't remember who asked the question about her wearing street clothes. Yes, she does. In fact, she does get to wear street clothes, and that is her first choice to wear on the first day of trial because it's a very special event. And it requires something extra frilly and feminine for the queen of the damned. Please don't neglect to admire her black sooty crown on her head.
Or one of your advisory councils will approach witnesses with exhibits if you have to show a witness an exhibit. So I'll have to do the same limitations on the state. The state would be confined pretty much to the area of the podium, and the state would have someone assist in approaching witnesses with exhibits and that sort of thing. All right.
I have some motions that I'd like to file. I've had a really hard time getting, my paralegal is very busy. I don't have copies.
All right, we'll make copies and give them to the state. And
To file, I've had a really hard time getting, my paralegal is very busy. I don't have copies.
all right, we'll make copies and give them to the state, and then we'll file them, and depending on what they are, I'll rule on them as the response and replies come in, or we may have to address them depending on what they are. So plan on that questionnaire going out. I think we said next Thursday, the 20th, will be sent out to potential jurors for the first batch of jurors, and then the responses would be cut off on the 26th.
Judge is going to be sent out Monday the 24th and will end on Monday the 27th.
All right. And then
Yes, Kelly-O. She is the absolute quintessential victim. Anything and everything is all because it's unfair to Lori. That, let me go back. Hold on. Let's see if this is it.
would be confined pretty much to the area of the podium, and the state would have someone assist in approaching witnesses with exhibits and that sort of thing. All right.
I have some motions that I'd like to file. I've had a really hard time getting, my paralegal is very busy. I don't have copies.
All right, we'll make copies and give them to.
Okay, Lori, you're not the victim here. Okay, I know you want to be a victim. I know that's where you think that you shine as a victim. But let's be clear. Your children are the victims. JJ, Tylee, Colby, they're victims. And your husband was a victim. And I think Joe Ryan was probably a victim. And Tammy Daybell was a victim. Larry and Kay Kresha, they're victims because they love JJ so much. That was their family. You are not a victim. Literally, everything coming out of this woman's mouth is argumentative, defensive, all based on the notion that she is being she is treated unfairly. She is victimized, and it's wrong. I don't know how really. I may not be able to watch this, y'all. I may not be able to tolerate watching this.
To the state, and then we'll file them, and depending on what they are, I'll rule on them as the response and replies come in, or we may have to address them depending on what they are. So plan on that questionnaire going out. I think we said next Thursday, the 20th, will be sent out to potential jurors for the first batch of jurors, and then the responses would be cut off on the 26th.
Judge is going to be sent out Monday the 24th and will end on Monday the 27th.
All right. And then I'll meet with the parties on the 31st to go over those remote responses. So that'll be the 31st at 10:38. Then again, I'll just reiterate on April 1. Are we having we're not having walk-ins, Izzy, until the 1st?
Right.
Okay, and then on
April
the
Fool's
1st, we
Day.
will meet again, and for the rest of that week, we'll likely be meeting at 10:30 and continuing with jury selection every day.
So the first day of jury selection where they're actually in court is April Fool's Day.
We get enough jurors. Hopefully we get enough the first week. If we have to, we'll go into the second week.
I'm really freaked out for some reason. I'm embarrassed to say this. I'm really discombobulated and freaked out by the investigator's hair. Sincerely. I mean, do you think he just didn't care what he looked like? Look at it. Look at his bed head. That hair is flat, right? It looks, well, I'm not going to say that. What's with that, y'all? Kelly's had 2 bowls of ice cream already watching the Lori show. Hey, Fractured Fairy Tales. Oh my God. Fractured Fairy Tales. We're back where we started. We're back where we started. Another Lori Vallow trial. It's incredible. Yeah, I'm really weirded out by his hair. Dude, get you some mousse and some hairspray. Tresemme hairspray is awesome. Brush that hair, man. That is crazy hair. Talking hair. It is. It's so bizarre, Tim.
Judge, I know that I'd given you a date that I was going to need to be dark on. I'm going to put out there, since I obviously don't know when we will get the jury picked. I do have some witnesses that are flying in, so I may have some days where I may need to end a little early or whatnot to try to accommodate some witness schedules. But I'll keep the court updated once we get a jury picked.
I think we'll have a good idea by about day 2 of jury selection, whether we're going to need to go into the next week or not. That reminds me, though, is I would like the parties to plan on, we're going to have a much better idea after about the second week of trial and the first trial, how the second trial will unfold as far as how many jurors we might need. But I would like the parties to plan on doing another remote questionnaire.
Justin, if you want my advice, I would pick 50 jurors if I were you, because you're going to lose so many over this long ass crazy trial.
With a much larger pool for the second trial and meeting on Friday, May 30th. I'm just giving you a heads up as far as this is concerned. And then for scheduling purposes, so everyone knows, I'm planning on probably going Monday through Friday of the week of June 2nd, as well as Monday through Friday, the week of June 9th, to try to get as much done as we can.
Notice,
And then
people,
there's going to be
he said June. June. This is going to take forever. This is going to be another Jody Arias marathon trial.
some dark days there toward the end of June, but we need to get it done by July 4th.
Kelly.
Your Honor, when are you planning on
Excuse me, doctor. The Lori Vallow trial is coming up and it is being broadcast. And I have a rule that when I watch trials, I have to eat ice cream. And I would like to get a side of Ozempic with my ice cream, please.
Be some dark days there toward the end of June, but we need to get it done by July 4th.
Your Honor, when are you planning on starting that trial?
So jury selection would be the starting May 30th.
We're going to have to change the name of our channel to the ice cream channel. We're going to be screaming and eating ice cream and screaming some more through the whole trial. This is going to be for months. It's going to be a disaster. And when we're finished with the trial, we're all going to walk out of here looking like Foodie Beauty. Oh my goodness. This is going to be, maybe we could learn to play pickleball instead and watch the trial.
All right, anything else from the state for today? If you want to stick around, we'll get you copies of those motions.
I do. Your Honor, I guess the only other thing is for the questionnaire, are we going to put in the defendant's 15.2 witness list?
I'll put in those names preliminarily. It doesn't hurt, just in case anyone is called from that list. And if anyone knows any of those people, I will put that in actually. Anything else from the defense?
So I'm unclear on where we stand with the video that I requested.
He said
The
no,
state
Lori.
says they don't know what video you're talking about. They've disclosed everything they have. So I'm going to make an order to your prior team to give you whatever that is. If you have a link in that information, you can forward it to the state so the state can see if that's something they've already disclosed or if that's something Gilbert didn't give them, or on the other hand, since it was told you secondhand or showed you secondhand,
Yep.
whether it's something different than what you.
And can I just point out the obvious here? So she's claiming out of this 22 terabytes of evidence, she's claiming that there is a video that is on YouTube but was not in the discovery. Okay, well, riddle me this. If it's not in the discovery, then how did the damn YouTubers get it? Because that's how we get all this evidence is through FOIAs, correct? So basically what's happening is there's videos she wants to use. It's buried somewhere in 22 terabytes, which is like 50, New York public libraries, right? And they don't know how to find it in all of this evidence. And so they're trying to get the prosecution to help them by saying, here you go, madam, this would be the one video you're looking for. And that is absolutely not the job of the prosecutor. So they're just, once again, they're just trying to get around, skirt the rules, because Lori Vallow, the rules are not made for Lori Vallow. That dress, however, was made for her. It is high couture. She told the designer, I want maximum impact. When I walk in the room, I want to make sure that everyone is looking at me. because I'm the woman of the hour. I'm an attorney, and I'm also the queen of the damned, and that's why I'm wearing my black soot tiara. So this is Lori. This is what she has planned for the first day in court. This will be her fashion choice for day one of the trial.
You thought it was, I don't know. So I'll make an order that they hand over all those things to you, so maybe you can figure that out. But at this point, the state says they've disclosed everything that they have and everything that they're aware of.
And in that order, they'll give it to my advisory council or who?
Who do you
will-
want me to, I was gonna say give it to your advisory council. Do you want a more narrowed order? Maybe any mitigation work that was collected, or do you want a broad order that's basically everything in their possession?
Well, it would be
Everything.
nice if they could turn over everything in their possession that we worked on.
I was just thinking
sure.
it would be easier for you maybe to find that needle in a haystack if it was a more narrow order.
Well,
He's trying to
she
help
knows what
her.
the link is, and she could just give it to us, and we asked for her to do that, and
It's
What's
not
that?
her
the
job
attorney
work
said,
for
"No, she
you,
can't do it.
lady.
She can't give you any."
What's that mitigator's name?
My mitigator's name, Pamela.
On your prior.
Pamela Kearney.
Do you know how do you spell Kearney?
Cerny.
All right, I'll make a specific reference to that.
And do we need an order, Your Honor, to pick up my husband's phone at Chandler Police so that Lonnie can do the extraction?
Well, you already have that extraction in your discovery.
His name is Monty Dworkin. Monty Dworkin. Is that a name or is that a name? Monty Dworkin.
What's the state's position on Lonnie Dworkin meeting someone at, you said Chandler, right? Lonnie Dworkin, your discovery. What's the state's position on Lonnie Dworkin meeting someone at this position?
So that Lonnie can do the extraction?
Well, you already have
Listen to the
that
judge.
extraction
He's having trouble
in
with the name too.
your discovery. What's the state's position on Lonnie Dworkin meeting someone at, you said Chandler, right?
Yes, at
Police
Chandler.
I love this judge.
Department to do another extraction.
Your Honor, obviously the state and defense have always
I want to listen
had
to it again.
stipulations so that should something happen,
I have an urge to go back and listen to it again. What a show. Good
to the
Lord.
device while it's in the possession of Mr. Dworkin, that there are now no issues with chain of custody or anything
God.
else. So the state would have to draw up a release, have that scheduled on who it's going to be picking it up, have the defendant sign that release
Oh
indicating
my
that she
goodness.
understands that should anything happen to that,
Funny.
that she waives those rights to claim those things. So
I think what I was asking was,
um,
does Mr. Dworkin have the ability to just do the extraction on site?
on site where? At
At
Chandler?
At Chandler.
I don't think the police departments allow anyone to go in there and conduct their work in the police department.
All right, so to maintain the chain of custody, the state can draw up an agreement, and if the defendant signs that agreement, then Mr. Dworkin could pick up that phone.
That's perfect. Logistically, how's that gonna happen?
She's gonna forward that to your investigator, and I guess he'll have to come down and have you sign it.
Okay.
All right. Be at recess.
Monty Dworkin. What's going on with your hairstyle, buddy? Like, the name fits the hair. And I'm having bad thoughts about how you ended up with that hairstyle right before this. Did you take a meeting with Dewari before this hearing? I'm worried that she's molesting you, sir. You need to tend to your hair, buddy. It's So, or get a hotel room and take a shower. I don't know what happened with there, but something did. All right. Which one is Monty Dworkin? That's hard to say, y'all. That is a great name. Look at his hair. Look at Monty's hair. He has bedhead. He has bedhead. How do you have bedhead right before court? Look down here. Look right here. This man, look at the hair going out. This man was laying on his back long enough to smush his hair down. Why? Why was he on his back? Before court. Maybe the Chadster is not the only one with a thunder stick. Maybe he had to, maybe Lori said, if you're going to work on my team, I get to control the thunder stick. Yes, Monty Dworkin is a perfect name for that hair. That's not Mr. Dworkin. It's investigator. I think it's Monty Dworkin. Lady of Angels. Are you sure? That makes me sad that his name is not Monty Dworkin. Judge Judy would have made a speculation out of Monty. Oh my God. Moonlight View says that it's probably Storm Surge. This no storm talking here. He has already been hit with the storm. Look at his hair. The evidence is there. The storm hit Mr. Dworkin. Laura's hair looks great. Thankfully, she is not in braids. April, I know. I should be ashamed. Y'all do not know how many hate messages I'm going to get. This is no laughing matter. A man lost his life. Children died. How dare you laugh? Like I don't know these things. I understand that. But Lori deserves to be ridiculed. Of all the people in the world, this woman deserves to be turned into a cartoon. She should never believe that she has the power of fear over anyone. Lightning strikes. There you go, Moonlight View. Uh-oh, we're going to have another ice cream emergency. Okay, people. So this is the reality of where we are at. And that is we have a narcissist who is going to be her own attorney. And we're going to have to watch this. And this is what it's going to be like. This picture, this meme. This is what the whole thing's going to be like.
Sitting in my chair late at night, watching crime unfold under the pale moonlight. From the darkest corners, stories unfold. True crime jewels, she's brash and she is bold. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep into the mysteries that never sleep. From missing kids in Tennessee to angry husbands named Barry. True crime's calling and we're taking the time. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. This True Crime Jewels got what you need. From missing people to twisted minds, we're unraveling secrets old Barry tried to hide. Every clue, every twist and turn. In the world of crime, there's always more to learn. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep into the mysteries that never sleep. From Christopher's anger to Stephen Fisher's lies, the truth is calling and justice won't be denied. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. True Crime Jewels on the YouTube streets. Lights are low, suspense is high. We're chasing truth, we spot every lie. Step into the darkness, hold on tight. Two flashlights out there in the dead of night. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep. Barry Morphew's case is high. A boy in Tennessee won't be left behind. From the coldest cases to the ones that shine, true crime's calling and we're taking the time. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. This True Crime Jewels got what you need. We're always watching Barry and waiting for the truth. In the world of crime, we discuss the truth. So hit that play and join the ride on this true crime journey. Join Jewels of Thought and our gemstone family.